So I am a firm believer that when it comes to learning and upping our skills as a filmmaker, it's not when we have the most gear at our disposal. It's not when we have a complete set design. It's actually when we are very limited, when we don't have everything that would make our lives easier. It really forces us to become creative in every aspect of our filmmaking with respect to camera angles, with respect to lighting, and with respect to color grading. So I really want to take you guys on a behind the scenes look on my short film called A Note to Self, because that was really a film that challenged me. I've always been used to having almost all the gear I need at my disposal, but to create a short film with only 2 lights and a camera and a microphone and, just having to color grade an area that I find mundane to myself because I live here every day, doing all of those things to create a story really challenged me as a filmmaker. So I want to talk to you guys about some of those things and even some of the techniques that I have never used on a professional set that I've used here in my own home when creating the short film. So let's get into it. So the biggest challenge that I had to overcome in this short film was really my set design. You guys know, if you've watched any of my videos about my studio or about my bedroom or anything like that, that I just simply love charcoal walls. They say that the color that you're used to being in and wearing is what you love the most, and black has always kind of been my thing. And so having black walls in a room just makes me feel more secure. But from a camera perspective, especially shooting with the C200 in this case, it does not handle noise well. And so when you have that digital noise, it really presents an issue in the professional look of your film. Any type of noise, just make sure film look unprofessional, which presented many obstacles throughout the entire filming process. So knowing that I wanted a high dynamic range scene, knowing that I wanted to be shooting into windows, but I also wanted the walls to be visible, really presented a challenge in how I was going to light a lot of these scenes. And a lot of it came down to tinkering with camera settings throughout all of this. I learned a lot more about the camera that I'm using and how it performs, what ISO settings it performs the best at, and that's something you're gonna learn when you go out and you create a short film, or when you're going out and you're working with your gear. Really being able to be in sync with your gear is going to help your production throughout the entire process. And that doesn't matter if you're shooting on a Canon T70i or a T7i, or you're shooting on an Arri Alexa. Being in sync with your gear is what's going to help you be a better filmmaker. And so that's what I've learned throughout this short film, is that I needed to get better with the gear that I had. So that was one of the things that I really faced going into this shoot, was accomplishing some of these shots. And the C200 raw light format really allowed me to capture a lot of what I was going for. But even outside of that, the most challenging part about being not only the director of photography, but also the actor, the person setting up the lighting, so on and so forth, is carrying that story yourself. And a lot of that is going to come down to pre-production planning. Now, I think the biggest thing that I really loved about this short film overall was the night scenes. And to your surprise, those were not actually shot at night. They were shot at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, which, because of where we're at in Michigan, the light still kind of pierced through my window a little bit. And these were basically shot with direct natural light and some boosted light. I used my Aperture 120D Mark II at 100% on the lightning setting, and I used my ProMaster softbox to really light my room up. Now, why did I choose to shoot day for night? And I think that's the really important thing that I want you guys to take away from this, is that I chose to do it because I knew the noise limitations on the C200, and I did not want those grainy shadows, and having those charcoal walls was only going to attract that digital noise. So what I chose to do instead was just bump the room full of natural light and then bring it down in post-production. And I also used a little trick. Instead of using the calibrated white balance for my light, which is 5600, I just shot it at around 2400. And that allowed me to get this cooler look, which in our minds, because of all the movies we watched, it really represents moonlight. And so I was able to create this really unique scene in a room that I find mundane, and to me, I was actually impressed with what I was able to create with just those simple techniques. And I've never shot day for night before. Normally, I've always had a camera that handles that low light well, or I'm shooting outside in like a city where we have a lot of natural light. But for those of you guys out there who don't have a camera that's capable of handling low light well, shooting day for night is an awesome alternative. And I think the only thing I wish I would have done differently is move the position of the lights when I was talking to myself in the scenes, because you can definitely tell that there's a light behind me. And maybe that's just me as the filmmaker knowing that the light is there and that I wish it could have been a little bit more subtle instead of blaring on my backside. But it's just things like that that you look at in hindsight that you know, okay, when I do this again, this is kind of what I want to change about that. But being able to shoot day for night and create some awesome scenes just really allowed me in the color aspect to take a space that I felt was very mundane and change it into something that I felt was awesome. Those were really the things that I want to talk to you guys about on the behind the scenes look of A Note to Self. This was really a short film that I created based off of all the meme things I've said to myself as a content creator, and I really want to put a message out there that it's so easy for us to not look at how far we've came. It's always so easy for us to look at all of our pitfalls and what we didn't do right, but when you actually take a step back and just compare where you started to where you're at now, there's such a big gap that we really don't give our credit that we really don't give ourselves credit for, because we're so used to just those tiny victories, but those tiny victories add up to the overall picture. And so if I would have given up at any point in between just being a homeless person with trying to find a place to stay, to coming back home to Michigan because I felt like I failed, to starting my business all over again, and just everything that happened, if I would not look at where I came from, it's so easy to look at me here creating color grading tutorials with now 15,000 subscribers and feeling like I've really accomplished nothing. So I want you guys to always remember to always just look back at where you've came from, what you've accomplished, and what you've done in your life, because those are the things that are gonna help you push forward. I have a quote that I really like, and it says, you know, you did not come this far just to give up. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to give me a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications if you have not. Be sure to follow me on social media. The links are in the description down below, as well as the YouTube fam. Their links are also in the description down below. And if you like my I Need a Nap t-shirt, which you know you're an introvert when you're in quarantine and you still need your own personal time, be sure to head to my merch store. The link is also in the description down below. If you guys are ever feeling uninspired, uncreative, or just want to give up on life, remember, every day airplanes take off against the wind. Live, love, laugh. Stay inspired, guys, and as always, stay fabulous. I'm Sydney, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.